Hello, beautiful people. Let's discuss book stuff, and we're going to do my 2024 yearly wrap up. This is my first time doing it, and I'm really actually excited about it because I have like some awards that I want to give away to some of my favorite books I read this year. But first, I want to say I am alive. Thank God. So thank you if you checked up on me. Thank you for the well wishes. I had like the festive flu, aka I had the flu and strep throat at the same time. Couldn't tell you how it, when, where, why, how come. Like I couldn't tell you why it happened to me or how I got it, but everyone was sick. It's almost like it came from the sky. It's like they sprinkle sickness just out of the atmosphere onto everyone, because I'm not understanding what made flu A, I think, so freaking mad and so easily catchable. Anywho, but I have a couple of awards I wanted to give to some of the favorite books that I've read this year and in the genres that I have read. Let me say that again. I wanted to give away awards to some of the best books that I've read in the most common read genres that I've read this year. That includes thriller, romance, and fantasy. I just think it'd be fun to like do that. So the best romance that I've read this year. This goes out to an indie author. I really love her writing style. And even if I'm not exactly where the characters are in this book at the time, I felt like I read it at the most perfect time of my life. And there's a lot of quotes in there that I still think about long after I read the book. There are quotes in there that I would take with me, just a part of life. I loved every second of this book. Like I did not expect to love this as much as I did, but as soon as I got done reading this, I went ahead and ordered the other 3 books in the series. This is also known as the Rise and Fall series, by indie author A.E. Valdez. All I've wanted, all I've needed. This book, I just love it so much. I can't really say anything else about it. This is my book. Like it is. I could not wait. I could not stop reading it. It was just like, I just could not wait to get back into these pages and just consume more and more and more. I'm actually picked up the second book, Colliding with Fate. I'm actually reading that now. It is so good. Like Kyrell. Anyways, it's so good, but I really love this book. This is my favorite romance novel that I've read, and this is also the first book I've read by A.E. Valdez. Obviously it's not the last, because I'm going on reading the second one. It's just so good. So if you haven't read this, please go pick it up. It's about, I can't go into really what it's about right now, but because I don't want to be so long-winded about it, but it's basically when you're in situations, and that's either relationships or a time in your life where you might need to do something new. What used to work for you may no longer work for you, and how to kind of like trust yourself and believe in yourself despite what other people say. You know, other people could think you're great, but do you think you're great? And just like a lot of life lessons in here. I think that's the one thing I will say about her writing style that I'm also noticing in the second book, is that yes, romance is a part of the story, but I feel like there's so much more life that happens in her books that I really love and live for. So I just love it. So anyways, this was the best romance I've read this year. So it was really good. Next up, we have the best thriller. This book has illustrations. It is something that I have recommended to everyone close in my life, and they have loved it as well. Like they could not stop reading it. They thought it was crazy. They thought it was so good. I really enjoyed it. This is also the first book I've read by this author, and it is Hidden Pictures by Jason Rekulik. I'm gonna get better at saying my author's names, okay? But it is so good. I read the Kindle version, but it's so good. Like you have actual illustrations in there. This is one book that I would say if you usually are an audiobook listener, you would probably need to actually be able to see the images in here to just kind of add to the story. I think they are a really good touch, but this was just such a good thriller. I think sometimes thriller and even romance can be a little bit hard to find a standout one, because sometimes it just seems a little bit repetitive, but unless the author brings something special into the story, it becomes like too generic. But I think he did a really good job in this book. I would definitely reread this. I just remember finished reading it on my Kindle. I'm like, I have to have this on my bookshelf without a doubt. So this was the best thriller of 2024. Now, this next one is the best fantasy, and this really shouldn't come to any surprise to you, because if you know, you know. If you have talked to me in the DMs, if you know me in real life, I can't stop talking about this series. This is my absolute favorite fantasy series of all time, and I don't know if any series is going to top that. I don't know if any series is going to top that, really. I just connect with the characters. I love the female main character. I love the love triangle. I love how they talk about grief in here. I love the King Arthur retelling. I love the tension, the way that this had me stressed the hell out. I'm not even kidding. And that's no other than the Legendborn Cycle series by Tracy Deonn. Oh my God. Like, I love this so much. I cannot wait to reread both of these. And I cannot wait for Oathbound to come out in March. If I could only give you one recommendation of what fantasy to read, it would be this one. Whether you're into fantasy or not, whether you've read fantasy before, I just think this is such a beautiful, awesome story that gets all the emotions. And so it's top tier for me. It will never not be top tier for me. And I cannot wait for the third. I think there's going to be 4 books total. So anyways, it's just everything about this seems so intentional, so great, so marvelous. I just can't won't stop talking about it. So yeah. So those are the top best books that I've read this year, but I wanted to talk about another one. This one is my underrated selection, because I feel like I don't really see anyone talk about it. I actually read this book through NetGalley. I got an ARC, and I remember we went to Juneteenth Festival, because I hadn't been able to go in the last few years, and I really want to go this past year. So we went to Juneteenth. There's like a little bookshop pop up, and I saw this book at the corner of my eye. I like dropped my phone, cracked the screen protector, darted over there, and I had to get this book. And it is One of Our Kind by Nicola Yoon. Yeah. Oh, so this book I feel like is underrated, because a lot of people, I don't know, they didn't really care for it, or I just didn't see a lot of hype for it, but it's actually a really good book. This book is really, what I got from it is kind of exploring what is blackness. Like, how would you describe being black? Is it how someone wears their hair? Is it the social justices that they fight for? How do you, if you strip everything away, like, how would you describe what is blackness? And I think this explores it. It also has like a sci-fi thriller dystopian touch in this book, but I think it's just a good novel as far as like thought-provoking and getting to ask yourself questions on like, how would I define blackness? What does blackness mean to me? And how does that show up? And everything like that. The female main character is a little bit like insufferable, and I think a lot of people didn't like that, but I think that character obviously was meant to serve a purpose of like, is this how blackness should show up at all times? Do we never get rest? Are we allowed to have rest? That kind of thing. I really wanted this book because I feel like in the future, this is one of the books that I do want to continue to talk about. Like, if someone comes and looks at our bookshelf, this is one of the books that I want to kind of, again, have a deeper conversation with, or get those thought-provoking discussions come up. So anyways, this was an underrated book, I felt like, for sure. Next, my most read authors, actually, and shout out to Storygraph. I really like Storygraph. Storygraph is just really awesome in that way. I love the stats. I love the data. I just love everything about it. It's just kind of cool to see that. And And if you didn't know, like my goal for 2024 was to read 12 books, and I read 33, and I thought that was awesome. It was really easy to track through Storygraph. It was just really fun to do. So my top read authors this past year was Tracy Deonn, Geneva Rose, and Sabaa Tahir. And they're all awesome. Like all three of those authors, I feel like I would pretty much, like, if they have a new book coming out, I'm going to run and get it, kind of thing. So for sure. Oh, let me also talk about another unexpected read, because this one is such a good story. It's such a good story. I love everything about it. I also, wanted to include this because it's a graphic novel, and I think graphic novels can sometimes be underrated in the overall like book space. So this one, where is that? Here it goes. It's called Ghost Roast. And I've talked about this before. It's by Chanel Gibbs and Shanae Gibbs, and Emily Cannon, I believe, is the illustrator. But this is such a beautiful, it's just so beautiful. Like, come on, let's get into it. It is so gorgeous and the story was such an enjoyable story. I would definitely reread this. This is something that, I don't know, it's just such a good read, such a good read, so beautiful to look at. Sorry, y'all. I'm trying to still get my life together. But no, it's such a good story. It was so entertaining. I really enjoyed reading this, and that was a little bit unexpected. Like, it looked like it was going to be good. But I really, really liked this book, and it could have been longer. Honestly, it could have been longer. There could be a part 2. This would be like I don't know if they're going to come out with any more, but I would continue reading like more about these characters. It's just such a good, wholesome, well-rounded book that kind of took me by surprise. And I think a lot of times graphic novels and stuff like that isn't always talked about majorly in book spaces. Of course, if you know, like, as it's very niche, but this is really, really good. So like, even if you aren't a big graphic novel reader, I think if you went to go pick this up, you would not be disappointed. So this was another unexpectedly good read for me. Now I think I just want to talk about the DNFs real fast. I feel bad for doing it, but it is what it is, because I did DNF. Now here's the one thing with Storygraph. What did it say? I think it's trying to say that I DNF 6 books, and that's not the case. Like, I'm trying to find it. Really, I only DNF'd. Well, okay. Now that they have a pause feature, which is really awesome, some books it's like I start them, but I'm not in the mood for it. So it's not like I'm never going to go back to it. I just don't need to read it right this second. So they didn't always have that feature at the beginning of the year. You could always DNF books, though, which was really good because Goodreads, you can't really do that. But they do have a pause feature that came out, I think. That came out like November, I think. Anyways, it's really, really awesome. It's really cool. But the first book that I DNF ever was Haunting Adeline by H.D. Carlton. I think I've talked about this before. Basically, I read the trigger warnings, but I never read a dark romance before, and I never read a book that had non-consent or dubious consent, like dub-con, non-con situation. And so, yes, I read the trigger warnings. You do not have to tell me this is why you should read the trigger warnings. No, I know. I read them. I also never read anything with that kind of content in it. And I did not think I would necessarily be triggered, but it's kind of different when you're reading something. It hits different. And I got to like 300 pages or whatever. I think I could have continued on. I think the plot was just not plotting enough for me. And to know that it was going to end on a cliffhanger anyway, and that Hunting Adeline I heard online was even more devastating, I was like, I'm just going to stop where I'm at right now because I don't care to finish the story. I'm not really enjoying it. I don't know. I don't know why I thought dark romance would be it's more than your vanilla, but everyone is consenting from the beginning. Like, I don't know. I don't know if that's hard to find. I don't know if that's not a part of the dark romance rules, but that's what I thought. Everyone's consenting from the beginning. I don't really like reading anything with non-consent in them. or dubious consent. I think I'm saying that right. The next book that I DNF, which it pains me to say this, but I don't think I've talked about this in a video yet. But it's Wrong Places by Tara Lynn Mitchell. I think I got to 40%. I think I was really trying to push through this thing. I really was. But the problem is like the writing style was confusing and not enjoyable. I remember I was having my husband read it, and he was like, I don't even, what? Like, we can read and we have reading comprehension, but the way the writing the writing structure was, it was not enjoyable for me. I couldn't continue, and I felt bad because I really wanted to give this indie author a chance. Other people liked it, but I just could not. I could not for the life of me. I just could not get through it. But yeah. And then at the end of this, I just wanted to talk about a series that I feel like that does not get enough hype. And if you follow me on social media, you have definitely seen me talk about this book because I'm on book 3 out of the 4, and it is the An Ember in the Ashes series. It is a quartet by 𝙰𝚏. I feel like that is not talked about enough, and maybe it's only because it's been out for a long time and I'm late to it, but I don't think it gets enough hype. I mean, when you start researching though, and it's gotten all these awards and it's on these top lists, like it makes sense on why whenever someone does talk about it, it is their top fantasy. It's like one of their top fantasies, and it's just so well written, so wonderfully paced. I really enjoy it. And yeah, so and then if there's a couple of books that I haven't mentioned yet that was really surprising, but I also enjoyed too, and I just kind of like honorable mentions that I wanted to mention here. The first one was Womb City by I think Tololo Tomasi, and the other one is Beholder by Ryan LaSala. I didn't know if I had that written down right. Both of those books are really, really good. I think you don't know what to really expect, but I really enjoyed myself while reading those books, and I don't see too many people talk about them either, but they're worth mentioning. And so yeah, anyways, guys, I'm sorry. That was my 2025. That was my 2024 annual wrap up. I think I'm going to have a separate video for my 2025 anticipated releases and goals. So make sure you be on the lookout for that. But yeah, what were your top favorite reads of this year? Let me know in the comments. What was your top favorite fantasy, romance, thriller? Let me know down below. And of course, make sure you like, comment, subscribe. I love hearing from you guys. And until next time, peace out, y'all.